Hey everybody, we hope you are all doing well. We appreciate you guys clicking on this video and checking this piece of content out. This is really something new here for all of us at Exodus. It's a new project that we're tackling that we've kind of coined the Newbie Project, and really focuses some of our 2% for conservation efforts around hunter recruitment and exposing new hunters or non-hunters. It's really non-hunters to their first hunting experience, kind of mentoring them through that process. So in this episode, Cameron and I are sitting down in the studio recording a podcast with a good friend of mine, Joe, who is a high-level professional, non-hunter, very successful guy, and he was willing to be a part of this project, donate his time and some of his efforts into really hopping in the turkey woods and learning how to use a firearm, going through hunter safety, hunter ed, kind of A to Z. So we hope you guys appreciate the efforts and appreciate the content. If you do like this piece of content and find it refreshing, this is just the first drop of this series. So there's going to be more content coming down the pipeline with Joe, which is going to include some turkey hunts and then a post-experience podcast. So I guess for now, I'll stop blabbering and let you guys get right into the episode.
Lights,
camera,
follow the trail.
ready to shoot.
If you know where a deer's bedding and you know where he's eating, that deer should be dead.
Camera.
If you're passive on a deer, what you're doing is you're teaching them.
I've got 30 bucks in the Michigan record book. Everyone but one has had at least one previous wound on his body. Some had as many as 4.
Trail Cam Radio.
From the guys at Exodus.
We're live with another episode of Trail Cam Radio, but before we get too far into this and go through the introduction process and everything, I want to give you guys are going to have to help me out here. Is it preface or preface? Preface?
It's where it matters where you're at. Canada.
So it
versus
it depends on my education level. I'm going to call it preface.
Versus America. Preface.
Okay, the preface of this episode and what we're doing kind of as a company. We talked a little bit about this on the last episode, but we've been a 2% certified company for a few years now, maybe 2, maybe 3 years. And, because of that, we willingly obligate 1% of our revenue, 1% of our time as a company towards conservation efforts. And through conservation, that could be hunter recruitment or the R3 strategy, recruitment, renewal, retention. And, a lot of focus has been put there because of the shrinking hunting numbers, the shrinking hunting marketplace. And everyone's focus is on recruiting hunters and growing the revenue inside of our industry. But one of the things that I think a lot of people overlook is the political landscape and the fight that hunters have against non-hunters, and then also communicating what hunting is to the majority of the U.S. population who are non-hunters. They're not hunters, they're not anti-hunters. They're kind of in the middle and don't necessarily have an opinion, a strong opinion for one side or the next. So, going back to that 2% thing, in years past, we've just written checks or donated products to, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation or National Wild Turkey Federation or a duck club. And while we're meeting those obligations, it doesn't really feel like there's any soul behind those initiatives or those actions. So this year we want to do something a little bit different. And internally we had the idea of really bringing a couple guys in or new hunters and teaching them from the ground level up what hunting means to us, taking them through that experience, taking them through that process, and hopefully tag a turkey in the means of that. And we chose turkey hunting over deer hunting because it's a little more social. There's less probably stress involved. It's just more fun.
Oh yeah, the act of turkey hunting is way more fun than the act of deer hunting. Now the reward at the end of it might not be as
it's not as substantial.
Yeah, but the physical act of turkey hunting, if you have a bad day turkey hunting, it's going to be a much better day than a bad day deer hunting.
100%. Deer hunting can be pretty frustrating on a bad day. So what we have here, in this, we don't really have a name for it, Newbies Project, Greenhorns, whatever, the Virgin Diaries is what Joe said.
Sounds a little more Cinemaxy. I don't know if I'm okay with that. Maybe an NC-17 rating, but yeah.
So what we have here is we wanted to bring 2 new hunters in, and both of them kind of come from completely different different backgrounds. And I think part of, our goal with Joe, which we'll get into this introduction in a minute, is not necessarily to convert him into a hunter per se, but to expose him to the experience, because he's a guy that's well educated, probably a 1%er in the world, a professional, and for him to articulate what this experience is to non-hunters, I think does just as much good as actually recruiting a hunter, because in the long run, the political landscape, the non-hunters are going to decide where this goes in our future.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where we're coming from as a company. I've known Joe for 10, 12 plus years. He's very good friends with my brother-in-law. We only grew up probably 10 or 15 miles apart, different towns, but kind of two totally different worlds, definitely two totally different lifestyles. And, we've been in the same fantasy football league for, I don't know, probably 10 years too, 8 years maybe. Yeah. And so part of this is peer pressure to get him in here, I think, but he was willing to do it. So I commend you for that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop blabbering. Just give our viewers kind of your background, where you come from, lifestyle.
So you kind of touched on it. I grew up near you, but in more of a city setting. I live in a city now. Never really got into hunting as a kid or a teenager, but always knew about it, And I work with a lot of ex-military now, and kind of always wanted to find out what it's like. They talk about it a lot. So it's always something I always kind of wanted to dive deeper into, and this was a chance for that, I think, more than anything else. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be just hanging out with you today, and how old are you?
I'm gonna be. I had to think about that. That's how you know you're old. I'm gonna be 37 in 2 weeks.
So 37 in 2 weeks. When you think of introducing someone new to hunting, you think of introducing a kid.
Right.
It's always like, okay, let's go find a youth and mentor a youth. But having someone that's 37 years old that's had all these other experiences in their life and hasn't experienced hunting, you're always like, what's it gonna be like? What are they gonna feel? Are they gonna think like, at the end of this, I have this thought, I'm passionate about hunting, and I'm so passionate about turkeys, and I love turkey hunting, and I'm like, are these guys gonna be like, what the hell? Why are they doing
that's
this?
That's a great point. That's a great point, because I think part of me thought, what is the big deal? I've always been okay with guns, but I've never really been into the hunting game. I think, when Chad was like, hey, turkeys, I'm like, all right, turkeys are pretty ugly. I don't care about killing a turkey. Deer, I probably would have said no, to be honest with you. Turkey, I'm fine. That's an awful bird. But I think, just getting into it, and people commit to hunting. It's not just something like, oh, I play tennis or I'm into the arts. You commit to this. It is a lifestyle, as you talked about. And there's a lot of preparation that I've seen now just through today. And there's an economy in it also, because there are a lot of people out there, I think. And it makes sense, for someone, like me who grew up around it, but never really experienced it before, which I like to do is criticize other things that you're uncomfortable with, right? That's human nature, is to really try it and see what it's about, and kind of the beauty to do that. And honestly, if it wasn't for COVID, I've been outside more because of COVID, just to get that air, honestly, and just kind of take time to enjoy nature. I think this is the next step for me to kind of see what that's about and see what you guys see in it, more than anything else. Because it is quiet. It's alone time. You put the phone down, right? You can't, it's a little weird not checking your phone every 10 minutes, but I look forward to that. And really just trying to see what else is out there, why people are so obviously invested in this. So
yeah, it can easily grab you. And for me, a lot of people's introduction to hunting is also the same way. So a lot of fathers will take their kids on their first turkey hunt or squirrel hunt rather than on their first deer hunt to start them off.
Makes sense, yeah.
It's just a little bit more relaxed. But being a turkey hunter, you hear that first gobble and you have a gun in your hand and you have this other life form coming at you, and okay, I'm about to take this thing's life. It's a little bit more deep than what people think. Like you're saying right now, oh, it's just an ugly bird. Kill that thing. Now, once it comes down to it and you have that thing screaming at you, no idea in the world that you're there. And you're like, okay, I'm about to blast this thing. And that's going to be it.
So they actually charge you?
They can, yeah.
Okay.
Well. It was like Jason's hunt this morning. He had decoys out.
Yikes.
And they're aggressive. Like
Yeah,
they got these
yeah.
long spurs
Yeah,
on
I
the end
saw
of their
those.
feet,
That's
and like it came in and charged that decoy and beat the shit out of it.
yeah.
So like, I mean,
So do I get a knife too, or like a Rambo knife? At least like a
We could probably make that happen.
face, like a catcher's mask. I don't know. I think it's not make my money, but
while we're on this topic, I think it's a good time. Like this is like there's gonna be a pre-podcast and a post-podcast. So this is kind of the
pre-experience.
Yeah, pre-hunt podcast. So like, as of right now, today, we did go out and shoot, but before that, like, what are your expectations? What do you think is going to happen? And like, yeah, what are your views on hunting right now?
yeah. So I think I talked to other hunters, and they said it's good you're starting with turkey in the spring. Which I agree with. And people who know me, and some may call me a little more high maintenance. City boy. I don't love to be out in the wilderness. I do enjoy nature, but the cold and stuff isn't really my thing. But I think spring hunting is more my idea. I've been told to, you got to be patient. You got to be quiet. You got to wait. And you got to, get up early, obviously. I got no problem with that. But I think just, you got to put into it. Like I said, the preparation beforehand, they've warned me about that. So it's good that I know that. And I'm ready for that piece of it, carving out some time, with a kid in a life. Everybody does that. And that's what I have to do here. But I'm a little hesitant. I think like you just touched on it, when it is go time, I'm shooting at targets, it's a different story. It's no problem. Like it's an inanimate object. You're just pulling the trigger, no big deal. I think in the heat of it, the closest thing I have to that is paintball, you know, and for me, owning only handguns and doing range stuff and being live action with paintball, like you do get the adrenaline pumping more than I ever thought it would do. I haven't done paintball since I was like, I don't know, 20 probably, but it is a rush. I'm interested to see if that happens. At this age now, at 37, with all the experiences that I've had, if it's still that exciting. I think obviously the type of person I am, and Chad can speak to this, whatever I'm doing, I like to be competitive and I like to win. And this is something that, it's a pride thing too. A part of it is to try to be good at something, and while respecting hunting and respecting the craft, because it is a craft. This isn't, not to knock fishers, but I mean, I just feel like it's a lot of luck there. I think this is strategic, and I think you have to plan for this. And I'm interested to see if I can kind of, obviously with your guys' guidance, not just me doing it, but when you guys put me in the right position, if I can execute.
Well, you did pretty good at the range today. I was not, I wasn't totally shocked.
Well, let me be honest. Let's start here, Chad. You tell me why my name popped up in your head when you're like, all right, I need a newbie, somebody green, somebody.
Well,
like,
it wasn't always.
It goes back to I popped up.
It goes back to the draft day, right? When all the guys were giving you shit about your podcast. So Joe also has a former podcast. I mean, the guy's done a lot of different stuff. He's done stand-up comedy. He's done some writing for other comedians.
Yeah, tried all that, yeah.
So you're pretty well-versed.
Sure.
At 37, you're pretty well-versed in
trying
having
stuff, yeah.
Different things.
Sure.
From a professional level, for your workplace or place of employment, like you have a high title and a very important, prestigious place.
Sure.
So, going back to that draft day with everyone giving you crap about your podcast and how Chad's over here, like, the dumb kid from Southington having a bigger platform, like 100 times bigger than mine.
All right.
That's really.
So honestly, I do think, yeah. So
that was part of it.
For these listeners and viewers who don't care about this, but I did a podcast about Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David. It's like Seinfeld, but you can say the F word and other stuff. Didn't go so good. I blame the other guy, really, not me. Not my on-air talent. I blame the other guy. But I will say, when I heard about you, obviously, Chad, things you do, you're successful in. But when I heard about you, I was a little surprised. I knew the camera stuff was going well, and then all of a sudden you have this empire of sorts of stuff, and I was like, what? There's got to be something about this. That was my first inkling. Like, wait a minute, there's more to this than Chad's a hunter. Like, he just gets in a 4x4, drives out, rips his shirt off and shoots something. Like, there's more to it than that, obviously. And it's one of those things that I see now that Cameron's the brain behind that, and Chad still does it. But it's one of those things that I wanted to dive deep into. When you brought it up, I was like, I wasn't completely turned off. I'm a guy now at this stage. I know when I don't want to do something, right? Time is valuable as you get older. And I see where it's like, I'm not going to try something I don't think any value's in there. And again, everything I talked about before, knowing you're invested in it, I want to see what it's about. And I do think it's important to point out it's more than just shooting an ugly bird. Like I agree with that. Like I'm interested to see that moment, what that's like. I think more than anything else, and really proving those guys wrong, those assholes wrong. That hey, you know, I can do more than just like make fun and make jokes about it. Like I don't want to knock something until I try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's my biggest part of it, and I want to see what it's about and really, you know, kind of see if there's a deeper level there. You know, something different. I can't, you know, as you mature and develop, I think you look for new things.
Well, the one thing I can say is if we would have plucked someone else out from the league, I don't know that they would have been as serious or done as much. I mean, you've already done some due diligence on this. Like,
Yeah.
You know, you're asking questions about birds,
absolutely.
and you went on your own and are completing or working on completing the hunter safety requirements for the state of Ohio. So you're already doing some of this stuff on your own and taking it serious enough where it's like, okay, well, my time's valuable too. If I give it to Joe, at least he's going to take this. I mean, our plans, again, our goal isn't to convert you into hunter, but
and that's
for you
good
to
to
take
know.
it serious enough to say, okay, I'll give my best effort to see what this is and what it's about.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, we respect that. I mean, there's supposed to be another guy here right now.
Yeah.
And he didn't show up.
Yeah.
So it's not something. We realize it's not something like this is a Saturday in April. Like the weather just finally cracked. It's starting to get nicer. People have stuff to do. We have stuff to do. And for you to take the time and give us a shot to kind of see what our lifestyle is about.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that you're not doing it just because Chad asked you to.
Right.
But you have like an interest in actually learning about what goes on.
I like Chad, but not that much. I mean, not that much. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm more excited than I thought I'd be. Because everybody around me, I don't fit your stereotype, as you guys know. I don't fit into like that's a guy who hunts, you know, and I don't necessarily like that because I do think it's a trait of just humans. You know, it's something that we've always done since the beginning of time.
Inside your
when you
DNA.
think about it. It is inside your DNA. You're hunter-gatherers, and I think it's one of those things that it's also kind of a, you know, I don't just say this as a joke, but an American thing, you know, and we're very proud of that. It's a part of our fabric, I think, as a country, and especially with the, you know, the people I work with, a lot of them, they understand it, they respect it, and I feel like I owe that to them to give it a shot. So
is there anything, you know, we fast forward 3 months from now, is there anything that you expect to take from this to use in your professional career? Is there something there that's tangible?
Yeah, so I'm in a lot of rooms with alpha males all the time. And I like to consider myself an alpha male, but with some of these guys, you're not an alpha male. You're just not. You don't have the experiences they have, whether it's a war zone, whether it's just knowledge of weaponry and stuff like that. I'm just not that guy. Like, you know, I can say as many dick jokes as I want. They'll make them laugh, but it's not that respect level to understand what they've gone through at times. I'm not saying turkey hunting is anything near the military or anything like that. But I think a lot of these guys in their pastime now, what they do is hunt. And it's something that they are proud about. And so I think it's something that it's another, I always look for pieces of anything, whether it's something interest that they have or anything like that I can also relate to and talk to these guys. Whether it's a patient, whether it's a head of another department that I have to work with on a project, I try to find common bonds. And I think adding hunting, something I've at least experienced. I'm not going to be obviously, you know, the next main guy here on Deer Hunter, you know, magazine, if that's a thing. But I just want to be able to understand the process, and more than anything else, I already respect the commitment that goes into this. Like this isn't like you're just joining a book club. This is a lot more than that. And it is. I like that it is. There's a group thing, but it's also independent, right? Yep. You know, I think there's a little bit of development there, independence that you work on. So I'm looking to use it as a tool, utilize it as a tool to kind of help me like make a bridge, I think, with other people who are big into hunting.
Yeah.
That maybe we don't have other common. My whole thing, right, is comedy or sports. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I miss the boat with some of these other guys that I work with that just don't have that. You know, they just, for whatever reason, they're not into it. They're into hunting or they're into other things. And then sometimes we just don't develop the correct bond. So I'm hoping this helps me bridge that gap and really just kind of see what else is out there.
So I have just a couple questions, or I want to get your perspective on a couple different things, and we'll take them one at a time. One is, so when you think, like prior to this even coming up at draft day 8 months ago, when you thought of, you know, hunting, like what were your thoughts? What did you think of? What were some of the stereotypical ideologies or, you know, things that you thought of?
Well, it wasn't me, right? It was kind of like the guy with 2 first names with a big snuffin, hanging out in a tree stand for hours and just kind of like being negligent. And I think, that's the lazy stereotype, right? Like that's the lazy stereotype of a hunter. And I think there's a difference. Like there's people like that all over the world, but I think, there's those people, then there's hunters that I think are a little more, preparatory and understand like the development phase and care about it. And there's much more to that. And actually the training that I've done has showed me that. The conservative efforts and stuff like that, where the money goes, is very interesting to me. How to develop further down the line, the whole idea of hunting and gamesmanship. So it wasn't me. That person wasn't me. The people I knew growing up who hunted, we just didn't have a lot in common. Not to knock them, but we were going different places. You know what I mean? But I think what I found in sports and other things and comedies and movies, they found in hunting, that kind of that place of just quiet and comfort. And that's where they went to, I didn't see that at 16, 20, 25, and even 30. I just thought that's boring. I'm not going to do that. That just seems like a lot of work. And to be honest with you, like
it is a lot of work.
Turkey's not even like my top 3 meats, to be honest with you. Like I would say beef for sure, then chicken, probably pork. So turkey's not even top 3. So sorry. I eat it because it's there. It's above ham. I don't like ham. But
wait till you have a wild turkey breast smoked or barbecued on the grill. You're gonna be like,
I'll try it. I will try it.
It could break your top 5.
I will
top
try
4.
it.
I have some questions.
I haven't had good turkey
after,
so I'll say that much. I've had your normal Christmas turkey or whatever. So, but I think at the end of the day, it was an unfair short on my end of it's just those weren't my people, right? Yeah. I didn't associate. My family didn't do it. I was a handgun person. I didn't have time to sit in the woods. That's how I saw it. Is you're sitting in the woods.
Well, I think it's human nature a lot of times to lump someone into the lowest common denominator because it's like you said, it's the easiest way to kind of wrap your brain around what's going on there. So what about not like an anti-hunter? Have you ever had any experience or conversations or any encounters with like an anti-hunter?
Yeah,
I mean, coming as a non-hunter, it would be different for
for
you versus an actual hunter to have that encounter.
So I definitely see myself as a moderate when it comes to hunting. I get it. I understand why we do it. You have to do it to a point, right? Yeah. With the deer, I don't. I've seen up close and personal what a deer can do to traffic and issues like that, overpopulation. I've seen that stuff. So I've always been kind of in the middle with that. And these people who are like, I don't want to say it by name, but the people the groups that are very much against hunting, I'm not sure they totally grasp it. And they just seem very emotional, very emotional, sometimes over the top, which has always kind of pushed me the other way. I'm a person who wants to see it from every angle before I make a decision. And then the hunters obviously, they feel, I think, defensive, and then they're gonna say stuff that's also emotional. But I think when you sit down, and this isn't me just taking hunter's side because I'm with you guys on a podcast. I think Chad knows that. I'm going to say what I feel. I honestly believe if you sit down and just kind of look at it in the way that hunting is regulated, which is way more regulated than I ever thought it would be, more so than even the medication world in some pieces. It's unbelievable to where it's not just killing to kill. I mean, there's a reason behind it. There is a sport. There's gamesmanship, and it's also needed for just for conservation of natural resources. So it's been interesting to see that. And again, I'm not just hating on the anti-hunters, but I think a lot of times maybe it's short-sighted. Mm-hmm. They don't have to participate. That's always kind of been my thing is people are going to do what they're going to do. If they're not hurting other people, obviously we're hurting animals. You're killing animals, but at the same time, there's a bigger goal there. I'm not sure I see it from their angle. Maybe if I spent a day or two with them, maybe I would. I don't know. But it's just one of those things that I've grown up in Ohio too, where hunting is so prevalent. I've always sided kind of with the hunters, even though I didn't partake. I got why, because I saw it. I've seen deer cause literally 5-car accidents on highways. And it's not okay. I've seen the damage that they can do to crops and other things too. So. It's always interesting to see the push back and forth. I'm always up for a good debate. I am, and I always enjoy back and forth. I just sadly and this is a global look. You don't see that anymore. It's just too much with social media and stuff like that sometimes. So facts get skewed quite a bit too. So.
And not only for like overpopulation reasons, like you said, like okay, you have to hunt because you've seen what a deer can do for traffic, but not only does it harm us as humans to not hunt, But overpopulation causes overcompetitiveness inside of the deer species.
Sure.
There's less food for them. And then as ultimately the deer species will be left unhealthy if there's too many of them.
Right.
So not only are we hunting because, one, we hunt because it's a means of gathering food. Two, we have to do it for more than just the reason of like, okay, car insurance.
Sure.
But also for the species to thrive, there can't be too many of them. That's why it's regulated the way it is. That's why there's a certain number of tags.
Right.
That's why there's a certain number of hunters, bag limits. Like you have to keep a very strong hold on the population for the population to thrive, or you're going to end up in a situation like Texas with wild pigs. So there's like, from the anti-hunters perspective, like you said, they just don't get it. They're humanizing animals.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't feel that a whitetail or a turkey is food, but a lot of those antis aren't vegans. They're meat eaters.
Right.
And they're going to eat from a commercialized farm.
Sure.
And they're going to eat their beef and their chickens. And those animals, it's okay to eat.
Yeah.
But those whitetail, those deer, they're
different.
Yeah, you can't eat them.
Because they don't see the process, I think. I see that in my field with drug testing on animals. We have a large research facility. And we have daily, if not, I mean, it's pretty bad with protests and things like that. But my answer to that is, if we don't test on animals, we're not gonna be able to get to that next stage of testing on humans to then develop the next medicines and things like that. But that's the thing, is we get knocked on that big time, with drug research, and they just don't see it. If you stop at point A, we never get to B, C, and D that positively affect your life. But they don't want to see that, right? Because it's easy and it's quick and it's emotional. And you can throw that on an Instagram page, right? Or a Facebook page and gets a bunch of bullshit likes. Which, that's life today. Not to get too deep into that, but that's kind of what happens. I think it's the easy topical thing to say sometimes.
So while we're on the topic of like food and having a non-hunting background, I know for me, a lot of my motivation behind hunting, and I'm not afraid to say, like, I hunt because, like, I don't have to hunt. I can go to the grocery store and buy food. So like the I hunt for food thing is not, it doesn't hold as much weight as it used to.
Sure.
But the connection that I have to that food is like that driving factor to, like, I did all the work to prepare that food. I know exactly where it came from. I know what it was eating, and it's 100% organic. Like, has that thought kind of crossed your mind to like having a deeper connection to the food that you're eating, or is it more just like the sport side of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I would have said that's an easy answer 10 years ago. No, I never thought of the food I was eating. I got diagnosed with celiac, which some people don't even believe is real, but it is. So I can't have wheat and stuff. So I do read ingredient labels now. And then slowly, you start to be more health conscious, and you start to realize, like, what am I actually eating? Am I eating from these factories of just, you don't know what's being pumped into this meat? And being able to buy local, that I know it's a slogan out there, but I truly believe in it. There's a different taste to it. And as a non-hunter, what really makes me mad though are the hunters who just hunt for trophy. I mean, to me, that's it's unfair. It's just not there. You're not utilizing kind of what the creation was for, in my mind. If you're eating that animal, you're harvesting it, you're actually, utilizing what it was made for. That to me is respect for the animal too, for hunting and for the animal. But I don't know. I think people get put up on that pedestal, those big game hunters, and kind of show that. And those people are really easy to hate. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't help the look of hunting. Yeah. And those guys aren't grassroots people. Those guys are the millionaires flying to, the African plains to shoot elephants and things like that. Like, that's not a great look, for hunting. So I think that's always an issue. But I think the older I've become, the more I'm actually caring about, we actually buy all of our eggs from a local farmer, and things like that. And it's good knowing that it's not going through a processing line, it's not going through all these other issues that I don't know what's happening for. It's coming to my door. I know what's happening. So there's something to be said about that. And I have had people that I work with make deer jerky and stuff like that, and it's totally different than what you buy in the store.
Oh,
You know,
100%.
I mean, it's complete. And if, you know, like I said, I'm not this connoisseur, I'm not pretending to be, but you know immediately, like, it's 100% different. You know, it's true. It's there. It's exactly what he packaged it as. You know, it's deer jerky. It's not a bunch of other junk in it. So, to me, you know, I would say, yeah, like I said, 10 years ago, I didn't care that much. But I think as you age, as you have a family, you start to pay attention more to global subjects. It's very important, you know. And, you know, so COVID hits, right? Not to keep going back to this. And you'd go to Costco and stuff like that. You couldn't get chicken. You couldn't get eggs. You couldn't get water. As crazy as that was, right? And that's...
It's 2020 and
Yeah, I mean,
can't buy toilet
you
paper
all of a
at
sudden,
Walmart.
yeah, that's why you gotta get a bidet. That's a whole nother story. But I think it's one of those things that, you know, it made me take a step back and say, wow, if I was somewhat self-sufficient or had an outlet to self-sufficiency, such as a local farm, all I had was eggs, you know, which I could last a bit, you know, just on eggs. But it's one of those things that you got to think about that. You
Yeah,
know?
we were sitting pretty when that happened.
Right.
It's like we got a freezer full.
You kill you have your own cow, right? And I have friends who do this too, who butcher a cow every year, you know, and they literally can live off that as a family of 4.
Yep.
They freeze it, and throughout the whole year, they're not going to Giant Eagle or other places with inflated prices and steroid meats, and they're eating that. They're eating fresh, you know, and it is a difference. Like, it truly is.
So is your only experience like with wild game meat, just like jerky or stuff like that from
I've
like, if you
had
other dishes or other
peasant, like some type of
Pheasant?
like pheasant, yeah, pheasant people. I may have eaten peasant. I did a European trip. It was weird, but I don't know. Pheasant probably, maybe some other stuff, but not a lot. Venison I have had.
good or bad?
Good, different. You know,
Okay. 'Cause there's a lot of bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same guy that makes the jerky.
Okay.
And he, you know, takes his time. He knows what he's doing. Longtime hunter. You know, again, it was good. It wasn't anything that I would, you know, die for.
Do you remember what the preparation was?
I have no idea. So we
was
went
like a
to
steak?
Yeah, it was like a steak cut, smaller steak cut, like a 5 ounce-ish small
Might
cut.
have been a extra.
Yeah.
It was pretty
like
good.
A fillet,
Yeah.
like medallion.
Yes, yeah, just like a
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Wasn't too bad. But overall, I think, you know, that's pretty much my extent of it.
Yep.
So I haven't, but I've had, you know, like I said, we're in line now for a cow, for half a cow for next year. I have a deep freezer ready to go. I'm all in on that. You know what I mean? Like, I love that idea of it, and fresh farm. Anything I can get my hands on. It's just, I think if I would have been in front of the line 2 years earlier, I'd be sitting pretty, but we're kind of, now everybody's kind of jumping that ship, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah,
So.
more and more people.
Yeah, just like I think 2 years ago, I kind of got the idea in my head, and then we do a lot of content with a guy that is 90 to 95% self-sustaining.
Wow.
So he's like grown his own vegetables. The only thing that he's store buying is like mineral. So salt,
Yeah.
pepper,
Wow.
seasonings, stuff like that.
That's impressive. Yeah.
He'll even make his own flour out of acorns. He'll make his own coffee. He makes his own jellies out of like dandelions. Like, he is
That's
the
impressive.
real deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And I made this goal by the time I'm 35 to be maybe not as self-sustaining as him, but I don't want to buy my meat from a store.
Sure.
I want
Sure.
to put my hands on the meat that I'm consuming. So
It cooks different.
yeah,
It just,
it's just a better
overall-
experience too. It's like you can't explain it to someone that's never done it, but like, you took the heart straight from that and then you ate it the next day, or like the experience, the tie, like being tied to what you're eating just gives you a much better eating experience, in my opinion. I think maybe some people would think the opposite. Maybe some people would be like, I can't eat that. Like, I just killed it. So, but for me, it's like, I don't know, I don't just feel like I'm eating to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like I'm
yeah.
preparing something.
Well, that's the American way, right?
Yeah. I'm
That's to eat to
giving
eat.
like respect to it,
Right.
and it's fueling me and it's fueling my family. And yeah, I don't know. I think once you dive past like what hunting is,
Mm-hmm.
the connection to your food that it gives you is another one of the things that I'll tell people that maybe aren't against it, but like just don't have an opinion. And I'll talk to them about what they eat, and I'll say like, how do you feel about like the commercial farming industry, and do you have an opinion on that? And they'll say like, oh yeah, that's terrible.
Sure.
Why don't you do something about it?
Yeah.
So that's just another thing to consider when you're like, shoot that turkey.
Yep.
And you're going to go home and prepare that turkey breast, and you're going to have this experience. Like, I remember seeing this thing when it was
Yeah,
alive.
right,
and
right.
I shot it.
that'll be interesting for me.
Yeah.
That'll be very interesting. Hopefully we get there. But I'm interested to see. I think it's a piece of pride, like I talked about before, but also knowing that you didn't just kill it to kill it.
Yep.
I'm not just killing it to be on a podcast or anything like that. Like it's providing, the nutrition.
So what's your wife say about this whole thing?
Yeah, so
Because this had
she's
to be
like
like
me.
a big shocker. Like, you know what?
Yeah. So she, God bless her, she's accepted me for who I am, and that's maybe doing crazy things at times. And this is one of those things, like I said, people close to me are like, what? I mean, my parents don't even know about it. I think they'd be very, very like, my dad being off the boat and my mom very, growing up in the area, but still never, her family didn't hunt, nobody hunted. Yeah. And just being around guns, I think that, that's the other stigma, right? Hunting and guns. It's just it's always drawn together. My wife, though, when I explained it to her, I think she's very obviously understanding and God bless, but she was like, hey, if this is something you want to try and you want to do, and if it's something that just isn't, she understands that, it's I have a stressful job, it's a lot of like fast paced stuff, and if this is something maybe to just get me outside more, I literally stand behind a desk and monitors all day. And it just starts to, I realize it now, 15 years into my career, that Jesus, like, just being outside, having a fresh breath makes a difference. And kind of getting back to just literally just keyboards and phones, that's all I'm doing all day, it is a little more helpful to just get out and plan for something different. And I really think in my position, challenging yourself, trying new things and looking at things differently, which this whole thing has made me look differently, helps you as a person, obviously, but also in my position as a manager or leader to just look at things differently, allow me to reach out and network and develop with other people. And really see what else is out there. I don't think she thinks I'm going to catch anything or shoot anything.
You won't be catching anything.
Well, I may have to tackle one. I don't think she doesn't have a lot of high hopes, and she'll love me either way. But I think it's one of those things that, she's kind of like, okay, cool, you can try it,
Yeah.
I think if it ate up all my life and, I was out there,
story.
it'd be a different story. Yeah. But I think she knows who I am, and that if it is something, it's something I would get into, like lightly and kind of develop and see what is on the other side of this. Again, she's not from the hunting lineage. She doesn't understand that. She doesn't get it, just like I don't. So this is kind of an experience for both of us. And my son is 2 years old. Like, and who knows down the line? I don't want to not. I obviously, I'll be honest with you. Why I'm a little intrigued with this is gun safety has always been interesting to me. Everything in the news with guns and stuff like that. I've always been very in tune with gun safety. I think it's a huge responsibility that people should take care of their guns, and hunting puts that in the forefront, which I really admire. But I think teaching, whoever it is, especially sons, daughters, family members about gun safety, this is a part of hunting. And so I think that's front and center for me, just down the line. I was so uncomfortable with shotguns. Loud, large, you just don't know what to do with it sometimes. I wanted to get my hands on one before he says, hey, I want to shoot a shotgun, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Yeah. This gives me a chance to understand it and get in front of it and be a part of that, and develop it, instead of just him learning from someone else who maybe doesn't have any idea and getting hurt, which happens a lot.
That's a really good point.
So I think that was my part, is even though I may not love shotguns and I prefer handguns, this is something I should understand. It's in the family, and it's important, and they're actually easier to get sometimes. I think more households have. When I go into households, they have a shotgun or rifle. A lot of people don't have handguns sometimes. I always thought it was just, and I never understood that part of it, So I'm getting that now where they may be more accessible. So if I can at least teach that or pass that along or understand, like this is what they need to do. So it's a growing experience, I think, for the whole family, even though I'm the only one here. Yep. I think it'll create a kind of a chain reaction there.
So what'd you think of your first time shooting a shotgun? We did that today. Took him out to the range, started him off with a 20 gauge, moved him up to a 12 gauge, which is what he's going to be hunting with. So walk us through your expectations and what you think now.
So my expectations were pretty much like Steven Seagal movies or like Die Hard or other things like that with shotguns.
Shooting from the hip.
And like they just like one hand and Schwarzenegger's blowing things up and it just looks awesome. Like, that's not easy, It's not that glorified and it's not that pretty and it's as loud as it seems it'll be. Yeah. But you have to command it. I think that was the first thing that, without your guys' help, could have been trouble. You really have to become one with the gun. And I know that sounds lame to say, but you really have to make an extension of your body. Otherwise, you're literally going to blow your shoulder off. And you have to focus. With any gun, you should focus. But a handgun's a little easier, I think. With that shotgun, you really have to focus, and there's more moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not nearly as easy as they make it out to be, like I said. That was the one thing that caught me off guard. I know I can defend myself with a handgun. With a shotgun, and there's a turkey coming at me, what do I do? What happens, And again, getting those reps, I think, is important, those muscle memories, and just knowing this is where I'm at. It was interesting. It was different. It was very different than I would thought it would be. In a good way, though. I think it's an exceptional weapon. I understand why. Every law enforcement person I've talked to has told me, if you really want to defend your home, just get a shotgun. The sound, right? That whole thing, I've always heard that. That's going to be the most important thing. Rack that gun and you're good. I understand that now, and I think maybe down the line I'd be more, inclined to do that, to buy one to be safer, because it is, pretty secure, and you grab it and you go. Sometimes with a handgun you gotta mess around with it. So I'll be interested to see how I do with it in the field.
Yeah.
I think it's harder to maneuver. I will say, even carrying it is different, very different than a handgun. There's no holster. It's a piece of you. It's a large piece. You're walking down. The safeties are different. It's definitely going to take some time to get that muscle memory down, but I'm interested to see what it can do.
Was it as scary shooting it as you thought?
No, I think you guys started me the right way. I think we started with the 20. I think that was the right call on your guys' end. I like that. That was easier. Felt good. Got comfortable with that. Then we went to the 12, and it was what I expected. I think that's the way to walk somebody into it.
Yeah.
And even being able to go back and look at film, which is interesting that you could do that now and just see, now that's the wrong placement, right? No, it's got to be up tighter to your shoulder. I think that's really important to be able to do for new hunters too, because I'm like, Jesus, my bicep hurts. Well, it's because you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I think you got to learn that. And then, like you said, Karen, when we were kind of sitting there and you slowed down and you said, walk through it, steps of checking, then safety off. And then, just with the trigger, breathe deep. And you see that in movies with snipers or with people hunting, they focus and they do the breath and you're like, yeah. But you actually have to do that.
Yeah,
I think
it
it makes
helps
a
a lot.
difference.
Helps
It
a
really
difference.
does. Your body, in my field, you're shooting an IV and you're focusing, and it's fine motor skills just like this. So you're sitting there and there's somebody crashing on a table, and you've got to be able to do this with people watching you. And you do it so many times that it's muscle memory. We were just doing this the other week, and it's something that you have to work on, and you do take a breath to just say, this is what I was trained for, this is what I do, this is the moment. And you have one moment.
Yeah.
You can't screw that IV up, you can't screw the shot up. You literally get one shot. So I equate it to that, and it sounds, obviously over dramatic, but that's literally what it is you take that breath and I think you pull the trigger. And once I was able to kind of rack that into my brain of it's similar to that, it really helped.
So I know you have some questions. You got to have some questions about
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
all of it. So fire away.
So let's say I get lucky and I do take out a turkey, right? First shot, right? Where does that rank in the hunting world? Where am I? Like, obviously, and this is in, like, say, deer, let's say bear, let's say pig, let's say fishing, let's say pheasant, let's say anything along those lines. Where am I as an accomplished hunter? If I go into a dinner meeting and I'm talking to people, like, I've killed a turkey, like, get rid of this guy. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to be that guy? You got to remember, I have no reference here.
A turkey has the brain the size of a pea.
You're not helping here.
Turkeys get a very bad.
Are you saying they're dumb animals?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're going to walk right in front of me?
Well, no. So it's also pretty deceiving, because turkeys will do things that you'll be like, wait, turkeys have the brain the size of a pea. They're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but like as like a big accomplishment thing, like it's not that hard.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
It's
What
more
the
than-
hell, guys?
It's more than catching a fish.
Okay. All right.
It's more than catching a fish, but in terms of like big game
Obviously, it's
accomplishments,
not bear. I mean, I get that. Like, maybe next year you guys do bear and I'll be there.
It's
Well,
higher
it
than.
also depends on how you like.
It
kill
depends
the
who it
bear.
is too.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
if
It
you-
depends who you're talking to. Like if you go out and kill a bird with an 1.5 inch spurs, like the bird that you saw this morning.
Yeah.
Like,
That looks
that's a-
serious.
That is
That
probably
looked
a once in a life. That kid will probably never kill a turkey like that.
That looked like
An
a predator.
Eastern. Like,
That's
it
a-
was-
Yeah.
trophy. That's a
Yeah.
trophy turkey. But I don't know. I mean, there are guys that have hunted for a long time that have not killed a turkey. So it's not like it's something that you could just go do. I mean,
It's not a shoe-in either.
how many turkeys you killed last year?
0.
Right.
So
And
it's
I
like,
hunted every single day.
Yeah.
Missed 2. So
right.
it's not like
it's not like
All right, so we're saying medium gray.
yeah. It's an
Maybe
accomplishment.
4 out of 10. I would
It's
say.
not.
Okay.
I'll
take that.
I'll give it higher. I'd say it's like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, killing a turkey is not easy. I mean, what's a 10?
There's no 10.
Great white
you
shark
know
is
me.
a 10.
There's no 10.
So what's a 9?
A 9 would
person.
be like a 400-inch bull elk.
And then what's an 8?
8 would be like 200-inch whitetail.
But okay. So you're putting inches and numbers on it. Turkeys, that doesn't matter. You kill an adult turkey and it's an adult turkey.
It's true.
You don't look at the beard and be like, oh, that's a 10-inch beard. I want an 11-inch beard. Or those spurs are an inch. I want an 1.5-inch spurs. You see a turkey with a full fan and a beard, you shoot it.
So you're
That's
telling me,
what's cool.
so I guess that's a part of the question too there is, you're going for decoration here. Like, you're looking at the beard, right? The gobbler, is that what we're talking about here?
Well,
what's the
an
gobbler?
adult bird, an adult male turkey will have a full fan, and he'll have a beard. What we call like an adolescent or a Jake won't have a full fan.
Meaning the outer feathers are shorter than the inner feathers. So his fan will be like high and then down. So the middle will stick up higher. And then his beard will like stick out like this, and it's 4 inches or less. And there's like barely any, they're just nubs for spurs.
Ooh.
And they can't really gobble. Some can, some can't, but some just, they're just adolescents. But yeah, that's the good thing about like turkey hunting. The trophy comes after. It's not like you're out for a certain, like people aren't passing up. Like in deer hunting, okay, people will pass up 2-year-old deer like, oh, it's just a 2-year-old. Turkey hunting, you see an adult turkey, you kill it,
shot.
and then after you're like, oh, I killed a 2-year-old.
I see.
You know what I mean? It's not like turkey hunting doesn't have the competitions, the biggest turkey, the biggest spurs, the biggest beard, like that. That's not what turkey.
So turkey hunting's like 1 a.m. the bar. You're not gonna pass it up. Like it's like
Yeah.
go time.
Yeah.
It's in the
exactly
target.
it.
You're pulling the trigger.
Yes.
Deer hunter, you're a little more like, I got some money. I have my own place now.
Right.
You know. Okay,
Right.
that makes more sense.
Yeah,
I
your
get that.
standards for a turkey is adult. That's it.
Just make it happen.
Yep.
Breathing.
Yep.
You know
Boy,
that
is that
one, right?
true? Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, is that true. So beard, I gotta look for girthy and voluptuous. That's fair. Okay, I got that. I got it. Gobble.
Which you can also kill a Jake if you're. I mean,
So you can
You
technically.
can
There's
kill
no
a-
knock on that. That
you
still
can
counts.
kill a male or a bearded turkey.
Yeah.
There
Has
are
to be
hens.
bearded.
There are hens that have beards.
Oh.
So I think 1 in every 10 hens has a beard. So it's not like that
matches
rare.
up
Just
but-
like
society.
yeah. So
I've been that road. Yeah, I get it.
so a bearded turkey you
Surprise.
can kill. A Jake has a beard. They're just real short. So if you
Ladyboy turkey.
We'll play it out by the situation. I know like our time is going to be somewhat limited. It's just the way that it's going to be. You know, if we work a Jake and Jake comes in,
and listen, and if you get excited and
You
you're
should
like,
probably
hell yeah,
It's
like
in
I'm
the, it's in the
fired
sight.
up,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
blast them.
Yeah.
Like there's no,
But it's only one, right? You can only do one.
you can kill 2.
well, you kill
Oh,
2
you
in
kill two.
Ohio, only 1 on public ground.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
But single tag. We're gonna buy. We'll get you 1 tag, so it'll be 1 bird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless
So-
you say, "Oh my God, this is freaking awesome! Like I want to do it
Let's do
again,"
it.
and then we'll buy another tag.
Okay.
back to the scale.
Yeah.
That's why I'm gonna put killing.
What's
a
your
turkey-
10? Give me your 10, though. I need to know your reference. Great white?
Oh, like a grizzly bear.
Okay, that's impressive, yeah.
10 would be like a grizzly bear, and then a 9 would probably be a bull elk, and 8's a whitetail, and then a turkey, 7 or 8. Like
Okay,
a
I
6
like
or
that.
7.
I like that it's gone
I
up.
mean, yeah,
Makes me feel better.
No, it's like it goes back to everybody's almost personal preference. Like Cameron is ate up with turkey hunting. Like I hunt turkeys, but it's not like I don't get ate up about it. Like I have fun doing it. Do it
Yeah,
every year.
yeah.
But I'm not like
Oh, it's turkey
I'm gonna go
season.
kill 49 birds in 49 states like he is.
That's a good goal. I like that. Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna give you a higher. Like,
Okay, I like that. I'll go in the middle then. I'm doing at least a 5, 5.5. I'll take it. For me, I think it's a 5 would be. I'd be thrilled with that. So, okay, in your fantasy world of hunting, okay, think of movie hunters, cartoons, everything. Who is your top predator? Who is your guy that'll get the job done at any time? We're talking like Elmer Fudd, actual predator from Predator. We're talking, Tommy Lee Jones in that one movie where he made the knife out of stone. We're talking about all that stuff. Who's the guy that you embody? And I know you guys, John Rambo. I know there's a guy in your head, your inner hunter, right? There has to be a guy that you think like, who am I right now, right?
This is the most random
You're in the this is my world I live in, okay? This is my brain right now, right? Like you're in there, you're alone. It's cold, it's shitty. You haven't had the best time so far. Who do you channel? Who is your like spirit character? I know, don't give me this bullshit. No, it's one with myself, but like who's that person you go to in your brain and to give you motivation to be like, you see a guy in a movie, you're like, yes.
Does it have to be a hunter, or you want someone in that cookie jar?
Anybody I think that motivates you who's a top predator that you look at. I mean, let's be honest. As a hunter, you're a predator, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Like that's a part of
Top
it.
of the food chain.
Yeah, right. We're proving and not to be sound obnoxious here, but your ability to hunt, to be a predator. Who is that goal, right? Who is that guy? Or it doesn't have to be a real person. It could be Elmer Fudd. I don't care. I'll make fun of you, but that could be it. Like, who's the person?
Mine's
or
not a
thing?
guy that you're gonna know.
No, not a real person. It can't be like Ranella, that guy. I don't know. Like, I mean, like, who is your spirit animal? As in, like goal, like John Rambo. Like, that's my guy. Right?
That's your guy?
That's John Rambo. I'm thinking about that the whole time. I tried to find my Rambo shirt. I couldn't find it. But, like, I'll be wearing it on hunting day. Like, that's my guy where it's like, no, he doesn't want to get pulled into this, but they do it, and he's there now, and he has to fight for the good of everything. And, like, you know, like, that's our job here. Like, that's my top apex predator. It can't be Predator from Predator. I mean, he was the apex predator.
Yeah. So...
Think of 80s movies, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Like,
I gotta be honest, like I don't watch movies.
Oh.
I don't. Like,
Okay, let me go first, and you have time to think on the answer. Okay? So I could go in a lot of different directions. Like, and it's funny you bring up the 80s movie reference because that's where my mind is going. Like,
of course,
Predator, Rocky, Rambo, Beastmaster. Do you remember Beastmaster?
Yes.
Kind of like the He-Man type character that could like see through birds' eyes and like talk to.
Could tell, yeah.
Like just a bunch of weird stuff.
He-Man would even be a fair one. You know what I mean? Like someone along those lines of like.
I'm gonna go like Conan the Barbarian, and here's my reference. You don't know Conan Arnold, like fighting.
Okay,
the
so next time
100-foot python and driving the.
So we're gonna do another podcast, my podcast. Whenever I make another one and get my deadbeat friend to help. We're just gonna do movies, 80 movies, and make you watch them. Like bad 80 movies that are good, right? That's what we'll do.
Yeah, I'm going with Conan because
Conan's fair.
I think I have a. I've never done like, what is it, the Everly Well or the not Everly Well? What's the DNA?
Just like the test of
the saliva test.
Yeah.
I think if I were to take that test, I would be
like Ancestry.com.
Yeah. Anything
one of those,
like that.
Yeah.
I would have the highest percentage
barbarian
of Neanderthal in the entire universe, like in the entire world. I'd be like 7%.
I don't know. We saw some people at that bar today that probably have a higher percentage than you. But
anyways, that's my reasoning. That's my reasoning for.
Conan was impressive.
Conan
Not Arnold's best work, but good.
He's jacked,
but good. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like the physical thing he does.
There's just nothing he couldn't do, right?
Yeah,
there was nothing he couldn't do.
Yeah, like,
there's any animal or prey, he could take care of it if he had to.
I'm gonna have to. I don't know.
Still?
Yeah, I don't.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, anything
Indiana
like
Jones.
That. Yeah, you
Indiana
seem more like
Jones
an
would be a good
Indiana
one.
Jones
I've never
guy.
watched Indiana Jones.
Oh man. So you haven't seen Grandma's Boy?
No. I mean, I don't watch movies. I'm watching Hunting.
Billy Madison.
How about Deer Hunter? That's a great movie. De Niro.
Never watched it.
Oh, Deer Hunter's a good movie.
I feel like
it's not about that, but
a lot of Hollywood gives hunting a bad rap. A lot of
part of it does.
A lot of the way it's
Yeah.
portrayed like gives it a bad rap. So
They make it chauvinist. They make it a little more, usually the aggressive stepfather's a hunter,
Yeah.
which is kind of a bad rap. You're right. It's not always a good, but like even Jaws technically,
Yeah.
The guy Jaws
Commercial
himself is a
fisherman,
hunter, and then also the fisherman, the commercial, there's always a 1v1, right? Like competition brings out the best in everyone. I truly believe that.
100%.
And this is what I think sometimes our society just falls short of, is like everybody's a winner. That's not true in real life.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a test of yourself. So
I'll go with like he's still a real person, but he was a celebrity in that Daniel Boone.
Okay.
He was
The Frontiersman.
yeah, and he was like
oh, we're talking real Daniel Boone.
yeah,
Yeah,
He
real
was
person.
like
Oh yeah, obviously that counts.
celebritized, like they had the
Yeah.
hats and
The
stuff.
coonskin hat. Yeah, that counts. That's fine. It's boring, but that counts. Yeah.
Died in the Alamo.
Yeah, and that's-
Oh really? No shit. Yeah. Well, I mean, I always think like that's my feel. Like I feel like there's always like something people are striving to be, or that like little poster in your head of someone. I know it's random, but.
anymore.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, I think that's it for now. I'm sure for post I'll have more questions and ideas and thoughts, and I'm interested to get in there and get in the crouch and see.
On record, give us a quick synopsis of what you think May 1st when we are getting into the woods, like from the time that you get up, how do you envision the day planning out?
I hope it goes this way. Me knowing myself, at this age, I think it's going to be nerves in the beginning for sure. One, just wanting to be able to come through, and I know it's not always in my control, but I think most people feel like I can make this happen. I can do the right things. I can be quiet. I can get in the right spots. Obviously with you guys being there and helping and kind of leading the way, I'm hoping that happens. And then really just executing like we talked about, sitting, being patient, not screwing up and having Chad hate me or accidentally shooting him, which would be tragic also, which I think I'm good on for gun safety. But I think just being there and executing when I get that shot. Because I think anything I took out of today is you may only get one shot. Like, make it count, So it's not like what you think in my mind. I think, you just fly and you shoot them and you do whatever you want. It's a very different game here. It's literally, it could be all day for one.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a waiting game, and I gotta stay on top of it. And I'm really hoping I at least get to shoot at it. I want to bag one, just to say that I've done it and get the whole feeling. I know that's probably out of usual expectations, but I want to know what that feels like. I want to know what it feels like to be able to say I killed something, then eat it, and have that be a part of it, and the nutrition value like we talked about. And like seeing what hunting's really about. Not just saying I killed something. It's not going on Facebook. It's not going on Instagram. I know obviously we're doing this, but that's not about this. This is about me as a person is trying to do something different and see what it's like.
Have you ever heard a turkey gobble?
Yeah. Of course. Like the gobble gobble thing, right? Like, yeah.
When you hear your first bird gobble,
At sunrise.
your heart, like it's gonna feel like you were 16 and you're in somebody's Pontiac G6 with like 12 or 2 MTX 12 subs in the back. Like it's gonna hit you in the chest.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like,
I hit Chad every time I hear it. I'm like, did you hear that?
It's exciting. I could see that now. I would have thought of that.
my goal for this is to get you on a 2-year-old bird, have that bird gobble, and then let him come to us and let him just like the whole way in, like from 100 yards, and put him 10 yards in front of you and let you just barrel roll him.
But the way that he just gobbled is like not how they gobble.
No.
It's like
it will shake. The ground, it'll feel like the ground shaking.
they call it thunder chickens because it feels like I'm like,
Wow.
It's gonna hit you in the chest. Like,
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
It's good to hear that, I think, but that'll be shocking.
Yeah.
I think that'll be especially if I'm on the ground.
Oh,
If I'm on the ground, crouched, ready to go, I think that'll be very
we
sobering.
don't want to gobble like 20 yards behind us. Oh my god.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Look, I want to go back to I want like, what time are you getting up? Once you get up, like, what do you think's gonna happen? What do you think? Like, okay, we're gonna go walk in, sit next to a tree, and wait. Like, I want to know what you envision. Like, what do you think we're gonna go do?
I think a lot of it is mental in that part of it when you wake up, just kind of getting ready for the day and really getting there and finding the right spot from what I've heard from you guys and really just thinking this is going to be the right area and seeing what happens when they jump down, and just getting ready and just prepping for that. I don't know how I'll be. I think I'll be very nervous. I'll probably have a little nervous pee. I don't have the biggest bladder in the world. So I need like a party pisser or something like that I could maybe just, shoot out the bottom of the leg. I don't know, but I got to figure something out, but I got to get it out of my system. I got to kind of get ready and get that. I've been working on my breathing, my meditation breathing too. I'm hoping that comes in handy. I know that sounds a little too hippie but I'm hoping I can bring in all these worlds, right? Hunting and hipster, and just like kind of make it happen, make me the ultimate predator.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that kind of happens. It'll be very, is 50% excited, 50% a little nervous, to be honest. And so, but also understanding like the gravity of it. I've never done this. I've never taken the life of not on purpose. We talked about accidentally killing a bird with a BB gun, which was traumatizing and awful. I didn't even mean to. But this will be, for a reason and for the right reason, I think. So it'll be very cool to experience.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. Today was fun.
Yeah.
It's a different spin for us, not being the focus of what's going on. So it's kind of refreshing a little bit to do this.
It's cool for me too because I've never had the opportunity to teach someone how to do something in hunting. Like I've never been there when someone shot their first turkey or shot their first deer.
Yeah, you think that, but then like if you look at the content that we put out and think about how many people that helps and how many.
Yeah, but I've never been there.
Yeah, I guess
Physically, yeah.
I've never told that person, hey, like physically looked at their eyes and said, hey, take a deep breath before you take that shot and then see the result after.
Right.
Like that's my first time I've ever been like, hey, deep breath. And then like you executing that afterwards and seeing what you did after, it's like, oh, that was cool. I know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad. It was great.
Yeah, it's like,
It was cool. It was
I'm
definitely
looking
cool.
forward to sharing with someone what I know it feels like, what like my first turkey felt like. I'm looking forward to giving someone else that experience.
How old were you when you got your first turkey?
10.
Wow. How old were you?
I was 28.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 10 years old.
Wow, that's impressive.
20 or 29.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I got. That's how I got my introduction.
Got into it,
to hunting. Was
first time
turkey
out?
hunting. No.
Okay.
No, but yeah, I'm also, like I said, looking forward to kind of seeing what it's like from a 37-year-old man's perspective that's never done it, rather than a 10-year-old.
Kids are easy to excite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get them a piece of bubble gum and a soda, and they're like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. My fear with it is like, I just don't want you to like have this experience, but like that kid's dumb. You know what I mean? Like, how the hell does he like this?
No, that's a
Which could happen.
It could.
On paper, right? Like, a couple years ago, I would have said, nah, it ain't for me. That shit ain't for me. And Chad knows that, And I think as you develop and mature and you meet other people, and like, I think Chad being that bridge to, a normal, like, I don't get along with hunters. Well, I know Chad. Chad's a hunter. Obviously, he's got people like him. You know what I mean? Like, you start to understand, like, hunters aren't just hunters. Like, they're people, obviously. And it sounds lame as hell, but they're just, there are things that they do in their hobbies, And I think that's been interesting for me to see that, there's dudes that maybe don't love movies as much as me, but can connect on a hunting level. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's interesting. And I never would have seen that coming,
All right, well, let's get this thing wrapped up. I got a hot date. Phone's blowing up over here. So I think we're going to do this again. Post experience podcast. It'll probably be June by the time that comes out. We're gonna spend May, chasing turkeys. We have some stuff here at Exodus. We'll be in Kansas. I think Joe has some work-related obligations or vacation or something.
Saving lives.
Something going on in May too. So we're gonna fit this hunting in, around everybody's schedule. Try to do our best to make this happen. I think I'll be disappointed if you don't get an opportunity. That's the goal. Get you an opportunity. But let's get this thing wrapped up. Thank you. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. If you guys haven't, just leave us a review. I know that we say this at the end of every episode, but literally the only way that we find new people is if you leave us a review and we grow in those rankings, or if you personally tell someone about this podcast. Those are two ways that we can grow this. And I guess until next time, we'll see you next week.
Don't you guys hit the like button? You say hit the like. Everybody says that, right? YouTubers say
On
it all the
YouTube,
time.
yeah, hit the like
1,000 times.
Smash that subscribe.
Smash. Yeah, that's what those nerds
Smash
say.
the
Yeah.
subscribe button.
Do it. Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Do it.
If you're watching this on YouTube, like Joe said, smash it.
Just smash it. Smash it.